Hey guys, welcome back to Squirrel's Woodshop. This is Danny, and today we're going to show you how we made some picture frames. No screws, no nails, just wood and glue. That's all you're going to need. We started off by cutting our links, and these can work for any size picture frame you got. So whatever your links are for your picture, just add a couple inches per side and go ahead and cut them up. Once we got all of them cut, we brought out the planer and we started planing them down. Now as you can see, that board we got behind it, that's not part of it, that's just to help on the snipe. We were kind of getting issues with the board being a little bit too heavy, so it was raising up and it was cutting off more than we needed. So this board helps prevent that. So now we've got them cut to length and planed down, and the next step is to figure out how this planer goes back in there. There we go. Then we bring out the joiner. Now on this joiner, we're just looking to get it nice and even so that it's good and square with the top and bottom. After we got through with all our boards, it's time to slide this joiner back in its home and then move on to the table saw. And this is where we're going to cut our width for our frame. So whatever you want your frame size to be, that's what size you need to set your fence from your blade. Then all you have to do is rip them down. Now that we got those ripped up, it was time to cut off a little bit more just to make sure that all of our measurements are going to equal out right. I'm making 3 different size picture frames, so some of them are a little bit longer than others. We're headed back to the table saw, and this time we're going to put it in the dado stack. Now this is going to be where your picture and your picture glass sit. So whatever depth you like that to be, that's what you want to make your dado stack. I don't like a very big ledge because all it does is just collect dust, and that's just harder to clean. So I like a very thin, 1/4 inch or so ledge all the way around my picture frame. So the setup we're running with here, we got our dado stack and our sacrificial fence that's attached to our fence. Now what this is going to do is allow us to run that dado stack right up to the fence without actually cutting the fence. It'll cut the wood instead. Then we got 2 feather boards, one on the top and one on the side, just to keep pressure on it. Got all of them cut up, and it was time to take it over here to our 45 jig. Now all it's doing is cutting 45s on each side. So if you don't have one of these, miter station works fine. You can use that just as well. This is just going to help replicate the same cut every single time. So once you get one side cut, you flip it around and cut them on the other side. Just make sure your 45 that you're fixing to cut is opposite of the 45 that you just cut. That sounds a little confusing right now, but when you mess up the first one, you'll know what I'm talking about. Next comes the most stressful part, the glue up. And I guess what makes it so stressful is the fact that you've only got so long before this glue sets up. And it's got to be glued in the right place. But with this jig, it helps a lot. And using Type Bond 3 here, you got a little bit longer setup time, so you're not really racing as fast. But the jig really helps. You go ahead and put the glue on all four corners. Make sure everything's good and lined up. Put a clamp in the middle. It squeezes and does everything for you. Alright, so now you got to make a decision. The smaller picture frames would probably be fine with just glue. But if you're making a larger picture frame, it's got a little bit more weight to it, worried about something maybe hitting it, falling apart, then this is going to be your next step. Now here we've got another jig. And if you haven't noticed, we use a lot of jigs just because they make your life a lot easier. But all this one's going to do is set this picture frame up to the perfect 45. Now this straddles your fence, so your depth is going to be set with your blade. You want to make sure you're in the middle of your picture frame, and you just want your blade to go just high enough that it doesn't go through to the inners where your picture and your glass was going to be. Go ahead and cut all four sides on that picture frame. And while we cut all these, this would be the perfect time for you to go ahead and hit that like button. And since you're that close, you might as well go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now we put out videos, I don't know, kind of randomly. I mean, one of us still has a day job we got to go to, but we try to put them out every so often. And if you like it, this is the best way to show us. Go ahead and give us a like, subscribe, and we really appreciate it. Alright, so now we got all our corners cut. Now it's time to make this picture frame strong. Now this is going to be the perfect time for you to root through that scrap bin that you got and find some wood that's about the exact same thickness as your blade. If not exact, then close enough you can do some sanding and make it work. Now you want these things to slide in there where you don't really have to force them, but they're not too loose either. Now these things can be as long as you want them, as long as you're covering the gap that you got. Once you get all those cut, glued up, and the glue hardens up, all you gotta do is cut them off. I'm just using a flush cut saw. I'm cutting about halfway through one side and then flipping over and cutting the other side. Once you get all them cut off, you go back with the sander a little bit, just kind of hit the corners. And then it was time to throw some clear coat on it. Now here we're just using a flat, ultra flat, and you're really not going to tell it a whole lot, but it does add a little bit of protection to it. That way, you know, the wood don't absorb any moisture or anything like that, and it makes it a little easier to clean, which is a plus. So now all you got to do is find you some glass, a picture you won't put in there, and I like to use foam board for the backing to fill up that void, but you can use whatever you got. Throw all that stuff together, and you got some picture frames that look good. All the corners are uniform. They're going to hold up. They're strong. And you're going to be proud to put anywhere in your home. We put these in my little girl's room, and she loves them. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. That really helps us out. And if you got any questions, put them in the comments, and we'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.